Hello and welcome back. Today I'll be sharing with you a few of the delicious and super easy meals that I've been making for myself lately. Great for those days or nights when you don't really feel like cooking, but you also know deep down that you shouldn't be ordering takeout again. This first recipe is for one of those fancy toast meals that would probably cost like 13 euros at a cafe. Cut a block of firm plain tofu into bite-sized chunks and transfer those to a large bowl or deep dish plate of some sort. Add cornstarch and vegetable broth powder, although I'm actually using vegeta, which tastes very similar, but it's this Eastern European seasoning that makes the tofu taste like chicken almost. Bring a non-stick skillet with a bit of oil to medium-high. Once it's hot, add the tofu. Allow it to pan fry for about 8 minutes, stirring every 30 seconds to a minute. Once your tofu is nice and golden brown, add gochujang paste, soy sauce, a bit of syrup or sugar of some kind, and some sort of vinegar. I go through bottles of vinegar at an alarming rate, considering I live by myself. Anyway, give everything another 3 minutes over medium heat or until it looks like this. Cut up your chosen bread. Feel free to toast it. Mine was still really nice and fresh, so I skipped that step. Mash some avocado on top. You could also do hummus here, or vegan cream cheese. Feel free to squeeze over some lime or lemon juice. Then add some seasoning of choice and top everything off with the spicy tofu. I happen to have some vegan feta in my fridge, and so I crumbled some of that on top. Today marks the last day of me as a 24-year-old. Let that sink in. And you know how I'm gonna be spending it? Binge reading the rest of this. This is the Heroes of Olympus, Mark of Athena, so the third book in the first Percy Jackson spin-off. There's so many Percy Jackson books. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. This is the book that got me out of a month-long reading slump. I don't know why, but it took me forever to get through the second. Yeah. 25, man, 25. So we're keeping up with the spiciness in this next recipe. This is some arrabbiata-inspired lentil pasta. Sounds fancy, but it's super easy actually. First, chop up some onion and garlic. Bring a pot with salted water up to a boil. Next, grab a medium-sized skillet for the tomato sauce. Add a bit of olive oil to it and bring the heat to medium. Add the garlic and onion plus quite a bit of chili flakes, giving that about 5 minutes. Then add a can of finely chopped tomatoes, 1 to 2 bay leaves, and that's it. Now add a lid partially on top and let this simmer for a good 10 to 15. Add the pasta to the boiling water now. I'm using a mix of regular pasta and lentil pasta. Make sure to reserve some of the pasta water, maybe about half a cup. Towards the end of the pasta boiling process, I'm adding a few handfuls of spinach straight to the pasta water. Could have also put it in the sauce. Now to the skillet with the sauce, I'm adding some of the reserved pasta water. I'm also removing the leaves and then adding a bit of basil instead. Now taste test and see if it needs that extra bit of sweetness. Also add salt at this point. Now bring everything together. Plate it up and cover with lots of vegan cheese if you want. I was eating this whilst enjoying Brittany's new podcast. Highly recommend.
I need him biblically. I need him in a way that is concerning to feminism. Okay? And I'll say it because this is my newsroom.
Okay, so this third meal is really dreamy as well, and it's perfect for summer. It is this Thai-inspired mango chili noodle salad with the yummiest crispy baked coconut tofu. preheat the oven to 200 degrees Celsius. Grab a baking sheet and line it with parchment paper. Then cut the tofu into thick strips. Now grab 3 medium-sized bowls. To bowl number 1, add the non-dairy milk, sriracha, vinegar, and soy sauce. Now to bowl number 2, add all the dry ingredients for the crumb mixture, shredded coconut, panko breadcrumbs, cornstarch, a little bit of nutritional yeast, and salt. Or, once again, I'm going to be using the vegeta seasoning from earlier. Now this next step, I didn't do this at first, but it is very smart to divide the contents of bowl number 2 between bowl number 2 and bowl number 3. You'll see why in a bit. Each piece of tofu, you're gonna dip into the spicy milk mixture first and then into the breadcrumb mixture. And try to make the coconut bread mix stick to the tofu as best as you can. Now after some dipping, the crumbs will become too wet to stick to the tofu. You're just gonna continue on with bowl number 2. I hope this makes sense. Now just before baking the tofu, I would recommend to also drizzle over a little bit of vegetable oil. That is going to ensure that the tofu turns out really nice and golden brown. And then you just let it bake in the oven for about 30 minutes. In the meantime, we're gonna put together the dressing for our little salad. And that is simply soy sauce, vinegar, rice syrup, a bit of olive oil, some roasted sesame seeds, and some water. Next, cook your noodles of choice. I'm going for these mee noodles that I got gifted recently. Lastly, cut up the types of fresh add-ins that you would like to add. I'm going for half a mango, some carrot, some cilantro, and a tiny bit of fresh chili. I've been obsessed with cilantro recently. I used to not be a big fan. I always thought it was kind of meh, just okay, or mid, as the youths would say. But yeah, I don't know what happened. I really, really like it now. I think it might be the superior herb. Take your love, take my love. So as you guys now know, I celebrated my birthday recently, and it was super cute. I forced all of my friends to do little arts and crafts activities. We also attempted to do fake tattoos, which it turns out that I had accidentally bought tattoos that only show up the next morning, but then last like a week or 2. And since I had no idea where I was putting what kind of design, I ended up with these very quirky, I don't know if you call them sleeves, but there you go. This is 25, you guys. This is 25.
The thing I've started doing is saying, this is 27. It also works with other ages. Just insert your age. For example, eating my McDonald's, listening to Pink Panthers at 11:33 p.m. This is 27.
Okay, moving on to recipe number 4. It's going to be another fancy toast idea. Caesar salad type toast, to be exact. Toast up your bread of choice. I'm going to be using some very stale baguette. In the meantime, I chopped up some lettuce. Then I put all of my dressing ingredients into a large jar, plain soy yogurt, olive oil, white wine vinegar, mustard, salt, pepper, and rice syrup. I put on the lid, gave it a quick shake, and then I added the chopped lettuce and did that again. Now on to assembling. I would normally prefer to add some hummus, but since I didn't have any that day, I went for vegan cream cheese. Next, I added some tofu. Yes, this is tofu. Smoked tofu that I shredded using the very, very fine side of my cheese grater. I saw this done at a fancy cafe the other day, so this is not my original idea, but it looks awesome, right? And it has a really interesting texture to it. It's so soft. Last but not least, I added the marinated lettuce and some more vegan parmesan. Oh, I would also recommend to add some pickled onions if you happen to have those, or some cucumber or tomato slices. Okay, so the final recipe in this bunch has a bit more of a breakfast vibe to it, very much inspired by the sunny side eggs that I showed you in my Studio Ghibli video. Favorite video I think I've ever made. Link to that will be down below if you haven't seen it yet. Okay, first we're cutting up all of our fillings and preheating a non-stick skillet with a bit of oil. Bring that to medium heat. I'm chopping up a tiny orange bell pepper, some plain tofu, and some mushrooms. Choose things that roughly cook around the same time. So I gave everything about 6 to 8 minutes. Meanwhile, I made the omelet mixture. So to the glutinous rice flour, we're adding a bit of baking powder, some salt, and black salt. Give it a quick mix, and then add the non-dairy milk, some vinegar, and a bit of vegan cream cheese. Now to the skillet, I'm first adding a bit of spinach, letting that wilt down for a minute or two before adding the rice batter. And then I just let that sit and set for a good, I would say 8 minutes, letting a lid partially sit on top there. I made this for my mom, and she was pretty impressed by it. Yeah, I think she really enjoyed it. Made a quick iced matcha for her to go along with that. This vegan omelet, it makes for a really nice to-go or packed meal as well here. I took some of this with me to go to Temple Fafed.
Since I've come home, where my body's been a mess, and I miss your ginger hair and the way you like to dress. Won't you come on over?
This version I made with brown lentils and tomatoes and spring onion, which is a pretty good combo as well, I would say. That is it from me for today. Thank you so much for being here and watching. I really appreciate it. Follow me on Instagram if you haven't already. I post on there sometimes and you don't want to miss that. Have a good rest of your day or night, and I'll see you soon. Bye!